This is the story of Joseph Barbera, who got buried alive by the Mafia. Joseph Barbera was a nobody in the Mafia world. Wasn't a mobster, nor a criminal, just an unlucky guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. But when he stumbled upon a Mafia secret, these guys made him pay the ultimate price. His death was so brutal it's still talked about today, so grab a shovel because we're going to dig into this one. It was the year 1979, and Barbera worked as a construction worker in Niagara, New York. That's right, a very regular job. And his life was very ordinary, nothing special. That all changed during another ordinary day at work. On that fateful day, while working at the Griffin Motel in Niagara, he noticed something strange. While carrying out some construction work inside the walls, he found a hole. Not a big deal, you might say. But as he looked further, he saw a small chamber with a door behind the wardrobe in one of the rooms. Curiosity got the better of him, and he opened up the door, which led to a tunnel. He couldn't believe what he had stumbled across, but his boss told him to keep quiet and forget he ever saw it. And that would have been the end of the story, if it wasn't for the fact that somebody important had used the room. A few days later, some very important people arrived. Men from the Buffalo crime family. They were looking for the missing person, a man named Anthony Moscato. And when the cops left, guess who came back to the motel? That's right, our boy Joey B. When he saw the men enter the room where he had found the hole, he knew trouble was brewing. He tried to warn them that there was a secret passageway behind the wall, but they didn't listen. One of the men walked into the room, looked around, and then disappeared into the tunnel. A short while later, the men started yelling for help. They had found the passageway and followed the tunnel to the end. There was a dead body waiting for them, and it was Anthony Moscato, the missing person from earlier. The men quickly left the scene, leaving poor old Joey B to make up some lies about how he found the body himself. But even though he had discovered the body first, he was arrested along with the Mafia men. The police questioned him, but he refused to tell them anything. He had found the body first, but it was the Mafia men who had put it there. He didn't want to get them in trouble, or maybe he was afraid of what the Mafia would do to him if he talked. Either way, he stayed silent. His loyalty to the mobsters almost cost him his life, because after questioning, he was released without charge. The next day, he went to the local priest and told him everything. Finally, the truth would come out. But the Mafia had eyes and ears everywhere, and soon word got back to them that Joey B had spilled the beans. The men were furious, and it was time for Joey B to pay the ultimate price. He was in his car driving home, when two men on a motorcycle pulled up beside him and told him to pull over. When he did, they jumped off the bike and opened his car door. Then they shoved him out onto the pavement. But this was only the beginning of his nightmare. They drove him to an abandoned sand mine near an old quarry and wheat field. This place had a dark history and was rumored to be haunted. It was the perfect place to dispose of a body. When they arrived, several Mafia members were already waiting for him. They gathered around, looking like a scene straight out of The Godfather. Some stood around talking, while others looked out into the nearby woods. A couple of them were even laughing, enjoying the show. But before they could do anything, the police arrived. The Mafia men scattered, hiding in the nearby trees. Poor Joey B was arrested, but not before one of the Mafia men ran over to him and whispered in his ear, "You're going to be dead before the night is out." Then he spat in his face and added, "Even the cops can't protect you." And with that, he disappeared into the bushes. Joey B was terrified. He thought he was finally going to die, but the cops took him away before any of the Mafia men could reach him. As they drove him away, he saw the man on the motorcycle and the crowd of onlookers waving at him. And when their eyes met, the man gave him a chilling smile. The Mafia had made their intentions clear. Now Joey B's life was in danger. At the police station, he told them everything he knew about the Mafia and their secret passageways. The cops were amazed and asked him how he had found the tunnel in the first place. But he kept quiet about that part. He didn't want to reveal the secret passageway. It would be like giving away the location of a Mafia hideout. After questioning, the cops let him go again, but this time they provided him with protection. Joey B had become a witness, and the Mafia never liked witnesses. As the weeks passed, Joey B grew more and more paranoid. He started keeping his curtains closed and locked all his doors. He didn't want anyone coming through and killing him. The Mafia had threatened him and he believed him. But as Christmas approached, he began to feel a bit safer. Surely the Mafia wouldn't kill him on Christmas Day. Unfortunately, he was wrong. On December 28, 1979, at 6:30 p.m., a phone call came in for Joey B., but when he answered, there was only silence on the other end. He hung up and carried on watching TV. Half an hour later, the phone rang again. Again, no one spoke when he answered. For a moment he felt scared, thinking it was the Mafia, but then he realized it was probably just a prank call. But he was wrong yet again. At around 9:30 p.m., 4 men broke into his house. They burst through the front door and went straight to his bedroom. Joey B. woke up and asked them what they wanted. One of the men pulled out a gun and shot him in the head. Then they dragged him outside and into the back seat of a car. One of the men shouted at them to go fast. They sped away from the house, leaving Joey B. bleeding in the back of the car. They took him to the same abandoned sand mine where they had threatened him months earlier. It was now the perfect place for him to meet his fate. The mine had been used as a burial ground for Mafia victims in the past. It was rumored that many bodies lay beneath the surface, making it a fitting resting place for Joey B. One of the men pulled out a shovel from the back of the car and began digging a shallow grave. Joey B. was still alive, but he knew he wouldn't last much longer. He had seen enough mob movies to know what was happening. Then, as if from nowhere, a squad car pulled up beside them. 2 cops jumped out with guns raised. The Mafia men froze, knowing they were surrounded. They hadn't known the cops were nearby. The men were arrested, but it was too late for Joey B. He was in a bad way and died soon after in hospital. He'd been shot once before, but somehow managed to survive. He even attended Moscato's trial, testifying against the Mafia men. But the second time around, the Mafia got their revenge and killed him. And to add insult to injury, they had chosen the place where he would die and where he would be buried. It was a sad ending for a regular guy who had stumbled upon something he shouldn't have. But the story doesn't end there. See, the cops searched the area and found a large amount of ammunition, a bulletproof vest, and a key to the Griffin Motel. But there was no sign of a struggle, no blood or weapons. And the most puzzling thing, Joey B.'s body was missing. Later, they received a phone call, and a voice said, "If you want the body, you'll find it at the bottom of the canal." But when the cops arrived at the canal, they only found a pair of his shoes. Today, the case remains unsolved and his death is still talked about. What happened to his body? Did the Mafia really bury him at the sand mine? Or did they dump him in the canal? We may never know the full truth. What do you think happened to Joey B.'s body? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another awesome true crime story.